So in this video, I'm going to explain about what is LDAP, what is the need of the LDAP server, and how we're going to configure LDAP server and LDAP client. So the first thing, what is the basic use of the LDAP server, or what is the basic use of the LDAP? So the LDAP nothing but a lightweight directory access protocol. So why do you require this LDAP server? So the suppose example. So here I created a right now this all these missions they are in the network already connected. Now say example I created some username x1 and I give some password is xyz. So the first thing what I need of creating of user account and the password to provide the security you need to go for the you need to maintain the separate username and password for each and every employee. Then only what is going to happen? One employee data cannot be accessed by other people. So we can able to provide the security. So otherwise there is no security now. So just example, I created some username is called x1 and the system 1. And right now all these missions they are in the network also. So by using this x1 username and password, is it possible to log into this system or not? Even these systems they're in the network also, we can't able to log in into the X1 user account in other missions. So say example, you can take some scenario in the real time point of view. We got nearly some 100 missions are there and we got nearly some 100 users are there. We got 100 missions are there, we got 100 users are there. So the first thing to maintain the security, what we need to do, we need to create a username and passwords. Depend now this 100 username and passwords we need to create in all the 100 missions. That practically won't be possible. Now what I'm going to do means here. So just I'm creating this all the username and passwords in the one server. This is called LDAP server. So LDAP server is going to maintain, is going to store all the username and passwords at one central location. So I'll create this all the username and passwords in the one server. Now what we can do is I'll configure the rest of the missions as LDAP clients. Now we can able to log in as any user account also from any system. So the main use of this LDAP server is going to store this all username and passwords in one location and that can be shared to the all the client missions. And you are making all the these systems as a one group and that group is we can call as a domain. So the meaning of a domain nothing but a logical grouping of all the missions where it can maintain the all username and passwords in one location and that can be shared to the all the client missions we can call it as a domain. And a domain we can also call it as a client server technology. Right now this all the missions are the client missions and I'm making the one of the system as a server mission. This is called as a client server technology or we can call it a domain model. So I'm going to maintain this all the informations in the one server. The main use of the LDAP server is going to store the user database, the usernames and passwords in one location. So whenever I can type in the particular username, login name, say example like some X1 user account and the password, the first of all the client mission is going to request to the server for authentication. Authentication means for checking of the username and passwords. This authentication process now what is going to happen now? The LDAP server is going to check for this username and password was it correct or not. When this username and password is correct means then what will happen? It's going to process for the login process now. Then to maintain the centralized user database, we are going to go for the LDAP. In the Windows, the LDAP we can simply call it as Active Directory Services. And for the Linux point of view, to maintain this user database and one central location, we'll go for the LDAP section. And according to the OSL layers, LDAP we can call it as a application protocol for accessing and maintaining the distributed directory. That means I'm going to create these directory services, informations over the IP. And basically the LDAP is going to the protocol name is called as a the port name, sorry. The port number is called 389 for the LDAP protocol. Now you want to configure the LDAP, what you can do, what the things are required. And to configure the LDAP, we require the first of all two Linux missions. We require like a two Linux missions. So here I'm going to use like a two missions with the operating system called as a either you can go for the CentOS or you can go for the RHEL also, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And I'm using the version you can see the 7th version. So we require the two Linux missions the first thing. Excuse me. So already in my Linux in the VMware workstation, I created either two missions here. One is called as LDAP server. I given the name is called LDAP server, and the other mission I given the name is called as LDAP client. So the first step, what I'm doing is login as a root user account, and I need to configure some static IP addresses is recommended. So right now I have the 192.168.10.232 and is connecting to the internet or not. We'll check it out. So this 8.8.8 is nothing but a Google DNS or IP address. You got reply and ping space, and maybe you can go for the domain name. The DNS is working or not. So gmail.com is working fine. But it is with a dynamic IP address. Suppose I want to configure this one as a static IP address. So we have the network icon symbol is there. Just right click there. You can go to the network settings. So you can see here we got some settings are there. Automatically these are all the IP address settings given by the your VMware workstation or the dynamic IPs. This IP address is there. And the default gateway is a 192.168.10.2 and DNS is 10.2. In my system, I got these I values, the IP address settings, but maybe in your system, maybe going to change this like a different way. Maybe instead of the 10, maybe you got sometimes 192.168. Some 186. Some 140 like this. But what I will do is I'll change this IP address settings as a static IP address settings now. So how we can change this one? So we got the wire network, just we got the settings symbol is there. Just click on the settings symbol. And please remember this gateway and DNS IP addresses. Now you just click on the IPv4. See right now the IPv4 address is on and automatic DHCP is there, and I'm going for the manual. So I'm going to give the IP address is a 192.168.10. For the server I'll give that 240. and net mask the class C. So 255.255.255.0, and a gateway. I think maybe before you got the gateway, you remember it, 192.168.10.2, and a DNS, same IP address 10.2. So just click on apply. Just will go for once off and make it as on. So the IP address you got like a 192.168.10.240. Now just close it. Now we can go for check for the IF config. So we got IP address is a 192.168.10.240, the static IP address. And one more time we can check the we got internet connectivity or not. We directly can go for the ping space some www dot some any site name. So it's connected to internet. What the next step we can do it now? So we need to set up the host name also. Now for the server, for the LDAP server, I want to go for the IP address. So 192.168.10.240 I'm going to use for my LDAP server. And 192.168.10 dot maybe easy to remember 250 I'm going to use for the client. So what I will do means I'll configure this system name as a server. But generally we need to provide as a fully qualified domain name for the system names. So fully qualified domain name for the system name I'm going to configure as a server dot my domain dot net. So in future for configuring the LDAP also, I'm going to use the domain name is called as a mydomain.net. So this is called as a fully qualified domain name. This is what you call as the short name of the system, and this mydomain.net is what you call domain name. The entire thing we can call as a fully qualified domain name. Fully qualified domain name. So now I'm going to configure the domain name like the host name also. So how we can configure the host name? Right now we can see here the host name we can say localhost dot local domain is there. But I want to configure this one as a server dot mydomain dot net. I hope maybe you got some idea about the how we can able to configure the settings. So I'll go for the VAM or VI command and etc slash hostname hostname, and in this you can what you can do means you can type this one, delete this one, and you can type the hostname as server dot mydomain.net. The next step you want to configure this one, you want to communicate the systems with help of the host names. We need to add the records in the etc host file also. So VM slash etc, I'm going for the host file, and now I'll go for here, type the IP address of the server 192.168.10.240. This is the server IP address. Press tab key and you can type the name fully qualified domain name server.mydomain.net and press tab key and you can type the short name is called a server. And next one, what you can do is you can add the client record also. So for the second system, for the client machine 192.168.10.250, I'm planning to give it and press tab key, and you can type the client or you can say client 1 because we got so many clients. So mydomain.com, sorry, mydomain.net. And if the DNS server may be configured, then no need to configure all these records under etc host file. So client 1 is a short name. Now simply save and exit now. What the next step you need to do now? So you need to disable the firewall. So to disable the firewall, if you go for like a RHEL 6, so service status like IP tables, the command is there, IP table status. But whereas what is going to happen is this IP tables is not available in the case of what you call as a RHEL 7. So we got the no such file or directory. If you go for the RHEL 7, this IP table they called as a firewall D. So we'll go for the systemctl with the command. So systemctl, and you can go to the status, and over the in this case IP table is called as a firewall. So firewall D is a service name. You can see this one active inactive. Maybe it's maybe enabled. What you can do means simply go for stop. And every time you can say when you reboot the system, again this firewall is going to on. What you can do means you can make this one as a permanently you can disable this one. So you can go for the system CTL and you'll go for the in place of the stop. What you can do means you can type the command disable, disable the firewall D. So next time onwards, even if you reboot the system also, the firewall is going to stop. And you need to disable the vertical SC Linux also. For this, what I'm doing is pm/etc and sysconfig is the directory. And the sysconfig, you can go for the SC Linux with the file name. So SC Linux is a by default, you can say by default. Actually, I changed it before only, but by default, you can say it will be what you call as enforcing is there. So sys Linux by default is not a disabled. By default, you can say the enforcing is there. You can remove the enforcing and you can type the disabled here. Then you can save and exit. So save and exit. The next step what it is simply go to reboot the system. So my server is rebooted and you can log in as a user account called root user account and type the password. Now the same procedure what the things we done in the server will go for configuring the client machine also. See right now we can see this one server. Now I'm going to configure one more machine as a client machine. Login as a root and type the password. Now in this how we can able to configure the IP address and the command line also I'm going to explain here. Before we have seen like a how to configure the IP address in the graphical mode in the server machine. But here I'm going to explore like a how we can configure the IP address in the command line also. So just right click on desktop and go to open terminal, and you can set this IP address, but this IP address is dynamic IP 10.233, but I want to plan to give this IP address as a 10.250, and you want to configure IP address manually from the command line. What is the configuration file is there? So when you say ifconfig, we can find out the interface name also here. So in this case, example like ENO16, some different name is there. Maybe sometimes you'll get like a ENS33, and sometimes maybe you got like a ETH0 or ETH1 like this way. But right now I got the ENO, this is the name of the interface. So quickly we'll go for this one, and VAM and slash etc and sysconfig, and we'll go for the network icon scripts. This is a directory, and in this directory you'll go for ifcfg, and if you press E and tab key, you can find out your network card name. If you press enter there, see here you can say the boot protocol, you can say DSCP is there. The boot protocol is the DSCP is there. Then what you can do means you want to configure the IP address static. In the place of DSCP, just you can type it as none with small letters. And one more thing you can say, sometimes in your system, on boot you can say C is there in my system, but sometimes if you say no, what is going to happen is whenever you can reboot the system, it was not able to connect to the like your internet, not able to connect to your network. So you need to go for like on boot, always make it S. Now I want to configure this IP address settings as a manual way with a static IP. So in the place of the DSCP, what I can do means go to insert mode. I'm making it none. The next step, just press enter. Just take in the capital letters IPADDR equal to IPADDR means IP address is a 192.168.10.250, and press enter. Then you want to provide the subnet mask value net mask equal to for class C 255.255.255.0, and next one you want to provide a gateway. Just you can go for the gateway equal to type the gateway in the capital letters. Gateway equal to previously we have seen the gateway 192.168.10 in my system, that 2. Suppose your IP address maybe you can say 192.168. So 186. You got some IP address maybe some 200. Then what is your gateway means 192.168.186.2 is your gateway. And gateway and DNS are both the same. Then next one you want to provide a DNS, you can type the DNS1 equal to 192.168.10.2 in my system. So the next step, just simply you can go to the save and exit this file. The next step, you need to configure this host records also. That means the IP address and the host records also you need to configure. So the next step, I need to configure host records also. So let us example, we got the file called as etc host file is there. Under this host file, I need to add this IP addresses and the system names. So what I'm going to do means here, so no need to type all these records. So still you got the same old IP address. So we'll go for either we'll go for system CTL, restart network. So we got the IP address not connected. This is sometimes when you go for the command line, it won't update immediately. Sometimes what you need to do means you need to reboot the system once. So I'm going to reboot this one. Reboot this system now. Just you go for the command prompt. You can check the IP address this one. Still you got the dynamic IP because not affected. I'll change the GUI mode. Go to settings. IP4 will go to the manual. So the IP address is a 192.168.10.250 and net mask 255.255.255.0 and a gateway. So there are different ways to configure IP address, but one of the way I explained, but is not affected. 10.2, 10.2 and say apply. And this is what you call as a my client IP address. And the next thing what I need to do means I need to update the host records. The pin under etc host file, I need to add these records, the IP address of the server and IP address of the client. So ping to 192.168.10.240, which is my server IP address. I got reply. Now how we can update means simple process. Go to the server. I think maybe got some idea about the SCP, secure copy. So now in the server mission under etc host file I create records, and now these things I want update in the client mission. Just will go for SCP, the command from the source system, which is the source my system. Under this one we have the file name, you can say host file. This I want to copy into which IP address means 192.168.10.250 slash etc host file. Says the password of the server IP address password, the second machine password, the client machine password. So it's copied. You can check it out in the client machine before the records not available. Now we can say we got all the records. Now we can go for ping space server. It is going to work it. And ping space client. The pin I want to communicate with the host names. So the client one, na? So it's working now. So the next step, what I will do means in the client mission also, I'll set the host names. I'll disable the firewall. So VS space slash etc and I'll go for the host name. Just you can remove this one and you can type the name is called as a client1 dot mydomain dot net. Now save and exit. The next step we can take for the firewall. So already I disabled the firewall in the client missions also, and I disabled SC also. Just I'm going to reboot. See, up to this point, the basic steps only how we can able to configure the IP address and how we can configure the host names and how to disable the firewall and SC Linux. But whereas we'll go for how we can configure this LDAP server now. So to configure any one of the server, first of all, what you need to do is you need to install the packages. So how to install the packages for here? So I prepared some documentation how we can able to set up the LDAP server. So these are the commands we need to install the packages and what the steps you need to do one by one. For this point, after you have prepared some documentation, and for easiest way, what you can do is you can copy and paste it also. For copy and paste it, better way what you can do is you can connect with the putty. So I'll go to the putty. The putty is there, and for the server, the IP address is 192.168.10.2 the server IP address and the port number 22 for SSH. So yes, and the login as a root and I type the password. So this is my server LDAP server and I can ping to the client machine also with help of the host name. It's working fine. So next step what I will do is I'll configure this one as LDAP server and to configure this LDAP server first thing we need to install the packages. One of the package name is called Open LDAP and migration tools are required. So just I'm copying this one and paste it. So the first step what you need to do is you need to install the packages. So just I'm going to pause the video. So the step one install the packages. The step two what you need to do now. So we need to configure the LDAP password. So we can go for SLAPD password in the command to set the password. Just I'm going to copy here. So just I'm providing the password as p at the rate ssw0rd and p at the rate ssw0rd the password and this is the password I got here What we'll do is you can copy this password and you can store this password. Just I'm opening the notepad, I'm going to paste it here. And the next step, the step 1 is over, and the step 2, we need to configure the LDAP server configuration files. So you can go for the CD under etc open LDAP slapd.d. We can go to the directory called conf directory. So just I'm copying this command. So you can go to the cd etc open LDAP slapd.d and cn equal to config directory and say ls. We can find out some directories are available here. Some directories and some files are available. So we got schema and LD. All the files are available. Now we need to configure this some of the files. So which files we need to configure and what the things we need to modify in this file. And there's a file called as the OLC database. HDD LD file is there. Just open this file. So what I can do is to copy this one. So there's a file name. This is a file name is there. Open this file name. Now in this file name, what the things you need to modify here? So by default you can say the domain you can say my domain is there. But actually the my icon domain and com is there. But our domain name is called as a mydomain.net. So what we'll do means you can change this one as a my icon domain is there. You can change this one as a my domain and .com is there. You can change it as net. In this place also you can change it. OLC root domain and suffix and domain name both you need to change it. So just I'll go to insert mode and I'll change to this one now. My domain and we'll change to net. In this next line in the root DN you can change to same thing. And there are one more things we need to do here. In the same file, we need to add the following things: root password and TLS certificate file also. So we require some other certification file for the security things. For SSL security things, we need to create a certificates. So you need to just taking copy these lines and paste it at the bottom end of the file. But here the password you can say what you will do means before what are the password you copied there and that password you need to paste it here. So in the notepad I copied this is the password, copy this one and paste it there. And you can send certificate files under etc pka tls certificates mydomain.ldap.pem and mydomain.ldap.key.pem. These are files, certificate files. Just save this file and exit. The next step, what you need to do, provide a monitoring privileges to the root user. So just open this file name, already in the conf directory, you just open this file name. So already this is the file name is available here under conf directory, and this is the file name I'm going to open now. Now in this file name you can check it out. Again there is something called as a my domain, and dc equal to com is there. You can change this one as a my domain, and you can change this one as a .NET. So I'll go to insert mode. The my domain, and in the dc you can go for net. Just save this file and exit now. So just we change the dc is equal to like this way, and dc again you can send net, and verify the configuration by using this command. So we got something called a config file testing is success. So the next thing what you need to do now, start the services for LDAP. For LDAP the service name is called as LDAP, LAPD. This is the service name for LDAP. So I'm going to go for both the commands at the same time. The copy it. So it's already started the service for LDAP. Is enabled the service also, because whenever you can reboot the system, again the service is going to down. So that's why I'm going for enable. And next one, I want to check this one, the LDAP is running or not. The LDAP is running or not, what I can do is you go for the netstat command, netstat LT, grep for the LDAP. You can check it out, the LDAP is running or not. So you can see here the LDAP is running, listening means is ready for use, the LDAP. Or maybe you can go for like a and TCP, and instead of grep, I can go for here TCP or sorry TA. You can find out the port numbers, or you want to find the port numbers, you go for N 389, the port number for LDAP. Along with the port number, you want to find out the IP address and the program name also. Just go for T. You can see here port number 389 using for SLAP, SLAPD. SLAPD using for LDAP. And the next step, what you will do means here configure LDAP database. Under USR directory, share directory, open LDAP servers. There is a one example file is there. This I'm going to copy into var lib directory database configuration file. Just copy this one, paste it here. And next one, we need to provide the who is the owner. who is the owner, who is the group for this file, for the directory. For this, I'm going to go for the chown command for change the ownership. And the next step, I'll go for here LDAP add the schema. I'm going to add the schema for this one. So when I say copy and paste it, see LDAP add icon external icon h LAPD, and I'm going to go for the schema. Schema nothing but you can say is going to control the attributes. What the username and what the password and how many characters are there. What the username, password, characters. In schema, just you press enter, you can see this is like automatically added now. And the same process way you can go for the NIS. Just you can copy these two lines, is added automatically. So the next step, we need to create a certificate for our domain name. So the command open SSL and hyphen new X and nodes up to 365 days. For my domain name, you need to create some certificate. So the certificate using for SSL point of view, you need to go for the certificate. Just press enter here is going to create a certificate. Now it asking about the country name. The country name just you can provide as India and a state or provider name. For example, I'm providing as AP and the city you can go for the Hyderabad and organization name are the default. So the organization name if you require like this example like I'm going for Wipro and organization unit name you can go for example like sales and the company or the host name. The host name we configure as server dot mydomain.net mydomain.net and press enter here. Email address. What the email address means simply go for root dot I can type your server name mydomain.net because we didn't configure anything about the email server. So here I need to go for server dot mydomain.net. Just configure it now. And you want to verify the certificates, just will go for this is a command. The certificates are created or not. So the certificates are created for my domain. So the next step, we got the certificates are available now. The next step, we need to create a base objects in the LDAP. So for this, what we'll do is we'll go to the USR share on migration tools. Now in this, we need to create a some file also. We need to go for the migration command.ph file is there. So the line number 71 and 74 and 90, we need to change our domain names. So 71. So I'll go for the line number 71. Just say colon and line number I can say 71. And you can say the default mail domain, you can say pad.com is there. You can type it as our domain name, you can say here mydomain.net, mydomain.net, and the line number 74. You can maybe press escape key and go for type line number 74. You can say default base is a like this is a pad.dc equal to com is there, and you can change this one as my domain, and you can say dc equal to com is there. You can change it to the net, and you need to go for like a line number 90 and extend schema. You can say schema nothing but you can say how we can able to provide the username and passwords. What the length of the password is called a schema. And for this updating the schema, what you can do is go to insert mode. You can change it to 0 to 1. Now save this file and exit. And these are things you need to do it in the migration tools. Will migrate conf.pm file. And next one, we need to create a base database file for your domain. So just what means I already created a file actually here. DN distinguished name and domain name and objects. All these things I created. So just what we will do is you can create a file called as a touch root base.pf file, or in the place of the touch command, what I will do is I'll go for the VI command, VI, and you can copy this contents. The first thing I'll go for is the file name. Press insert key. After pressing the insert key, what you can do is you can copy all this content up to here. Copy this. This is a file name. Actually, you need to type it manual way, but I created this one. Say dc equal to d and distinguished name equal to dc is equal to my domain, dc equal to net, and objects and OU names everything are created. Now just simply save this file name and exit out. The next step, you need to create some local user accounts. After creating this local user accounts, I'm going to import this local user to the your LDAP database. So just I'll go for user add LDAP user 1. Press up arrow key and you can go for create one more user account called as a LDAP user 2, and I'm going to set this password for the LDAP users. So just I'm going for echo red hat. This is the password, passwd file name. In this you need to add this user for the which user LDAP user 1, and you can repeat the same command and go for LDAP user 2. Sorry, this is not affected because I copied from hash prompt also. Sorry. So the next thing you want to search for this user account, just only whether available or not. I'm going for the grep command. No problem, is not displaying the output, and we'll go for now. Import or you can say migrate the local users database to the LDAP. So you can say the migrate is a script file is there, and I'm going to migrate this one, migrate the groups and migrate users. Just go copy here and paste it. And user source I'm going to migrate. The next steps. So we need to add this for migration process. We need to add this usernames and passwords, and you need to tell your domain names. For this, whatever means LDAP add hyphen x is the command is there, hyphen x and hyphen wd is going to add this the manager who is the domain name and everything. So just you can say that. So it is going to ask you about the LDAP password. Before I given as a p at the rate ssw0rd the password. So now we're adding the new entries here. The next step will go for here the command for users. Again you can enter the password p at the rate ssw0rt what I given before. For groups also. Just I'm added and test the configuration. So LDAP search for the user called as user 1. So you can find out the user 1 is available or not. You can see the success is there. That means the user 1 is available in the mydomain.net. So the next steps what you will do means here, maybe if you want to go for the search for the particular object also you can search for the objects. So this is everything is fine. For the objects are available. LDAP user 1, the objects are available. And the next step will go for here. Maybe you can start the firewall D is always started, stop. And next one, we require something called the home directory also because the reason for LDAP user 1, for LDAP user 2, where this username and passwords are available, these are available in the server. And to access from the clients, this home directory we need to export from the NFS server. So what I'm going to do means here, I'll go for VS slash it is exports. I think maybe you got some idea about the NFS. Under this file name, I'm going to share this folder called the home directory. NFS uses to share the files between the Linux to Linux machines. So right now the LDAP user 1 and LDAP user 2, the home directories are available in the server and you want to access from the client machines, you need to share it. So just I'm adding this file. The next step we need to start the services for NFS. The services for NFS, maybe this is a package, maybe not installed. Better one, what you can do is you can install these packages for NFS. By default, it will be installed. If it is not installed, you can install these packages. So after installing the packages, the next one we need to start the services for NFS. One is the system CTL RPC bind is the service name. So one more thing you can say NFS. Can go for NFS. And enable the RPC bind and enable the NFS also. Up arrow, you go for type the command is the NFS. And you want to verify this one NF is working or not, just you go for the show mount icon E command in the server mission. You can verify the NFS server working or not. So you can say home directory exported from the server called as a server.mydomain.net. The next step you need to configure the client missions. So we'll go to the client mission now. So now in the client mission, what the things we need to do means simply we need to install the client what you call it, the open LDAP clients and NSS. The software you need to install the packages. So I'll go to the copy and I'll go to the client mission. The client mission, I'll go to new sessions. And IP address client mission was 192.163.10.250 in my system. I'll log in as root and the password. So just I'm going to install this client software packages, the client mission. So I'm in the right for the client one. So I install the client software for an open LDAP. The next step, simple thing, you go for the auth-config UI, the command in the client mission. So now it's asking you about the what are the authentication method is required. I'm going for like a use the LDAP authentication and then if you press tab key, go for press tab key and you can select the option called as a use LDAP authentication and press tab key and go for next here. So it's asking about use TLS. Right now if you require you can go for the TLS also and use LDAP authentication and press enter, then you can type this one. Linus 1 mydomain.net is there. In this way, I have given the example in our Linus 1, but actually the server name is the server 1 server server.mydomain.net. My.mydomain.net, and here you can type this one mydomain dot sorry server dot mydomain.net, and in the DC base DC is there, and here you can say example is there, and what you can do we can type like a my domain. In the place of the com you can type it in the net and press OK by pressing the tab key. It's working now. What you can do means here for mounting this one For mounting the home directory, we need to go for the SSL file. For test configuration, I have given this one command. We go for one more way also. In the client mission, so actually in the client mission, we don't have the username called as a user1. Suppose if you go for su space, what the username is LDAP user1 su. This means user. So you got the prompt against in different way. Because the home directory is not mounted here, what we'll do means you need to mount the home directory in a first step file. So vi space slash etc and we'll go for a first step file and come to the end of the file, copy this one, but here the server name is different. The server name is the server. So server dot server dot mydomain.net home is mounted to home auto default this one and save and exit now. Now if you go for su space and app user, so still you got the same thing. What will do means mount space hyphen a. What are things you modified in the first step file you want to go to mount it automatically. We'll go for mount a mount hyphen a command. See, I create the user in the which place? The server. Now I can able to log into client emissions and if you say cd enter and if you say pwd, I'm in the home LDAP user 1. This LDAP user 1 is not available in the client emission. That means I create a user account in the server, but I can able to log into all the client emissions with LDAP authentications. Now, say example, you want to log into the maybe another client mission may be available. Right now, I have the only one client. So, as you go for LDAP client 2, so I can able to log in as LDAP user, na? Sorry, LDAP user 2. I can log in now. So, right now, I log in as a which user account means LDAP user 2. To find out, we'll go for the ID command. In this way, we can able to configure the LDAP. So no need to create the all username and password for all the missions. Just you can create the username and password in the one mission in the one server that is called LDAP server, and you can log into any one of the client mission also with the LDAP.